man, Tom. How are you keeping this week?
Lord, were you able to see me through the cloud of dust that just fell out of my hair? I've taken to washing outdoors now like a dog. That's where I'm at now in life, Gerry. I'm washing outdoors on that dusty. I sent you a picture from the car on the way down from the site just to let you know. Do you know, it's nearly like a fella coming home to the wife late, but he's got a bunch of flowers. Sorry, Gerry, I'm a touch late, but look I'm covered
I'm
in
not saying I'm not
dust.
saying you're dusty. I'm not saying you're dusty, Tom, but you look like you're in a cartoon fight. Do you know like say Bugs Bunny would be in a fight with Yosemite Sam, but like there was such a scrap going on that Bugs Bunny could like step away from it and Yosemite Sam would just be fighting himself in a big
There was
cloud of dust.
it's still a tornado and sparks and everything flying out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And the
where I'm.
mustache is not helping, pal, I have to
No,
tell you.
it's
Everybody, you're welcome along to the Tom and Gerry Show. I am Jerry McBride. That's Tom O'Mahony over there. How are you keeping, pal? What has you so dusty?
Schlabbing like crazy. Look at it. Do you know what? This is going to annoy you, right? And I know we did our ASMR a couple of weeks ago when I was rubbing my hands and didn't the mic just isn't set up for it. But I had to cut a little bit of arc for a little mini project last
Nice.
night, and that was smooth.
A side construction
A
project.
side construction project for another thing, and the saw is, I won't lie, it needs replacing on the skill saw, and it left it a bit rough edged where a little 120 sandpaper would sort it out. I
Yeah.
swear to God, Jar, I just rubbed it with my hand. And it actually came up perfectly fine. I stopped myself midway going, I'm supposed to be a stand-up comedian. My hand is not supposed to be like this. But don't worry, when it's all over, it will revert back to same. No doubt it has done in the past and they will come back. But right now they're looking like, well, extremely manly. But when I look directly at them, I don't feel they're mine, if you know what I mean.
Well, I have to say, Tom, before we get into the show proper, I had a dirty hand at the weekend there.
Hatcha?
Yeah, I had it down a
What
drain.
outdoor drain?
An
Or
outdoor drain, a rainwater gully, not
oh,
not a not
Jesus. Yeah,
a
yeah.
not a sewage drain, just a rainwater gully, and it was blocked. Wasn't my own. It was over in the in-laws' house. The drain was blocked, and I said, I tried to stay right with everybody.
Stand back. Watch, Jerry. Did you break out a load? Did you get a couple of cones, some safety tape around you, put on the goggles, the
Oh,
hazmat suit?
I should have done. No, here's the thing. This is why I'm back on the health and safety train because I went into it with no gloves or nothing on me because it was only ever going to be stones and git, like muck,
Yeah, yeah.
not human effluent. It wasn't that type of
The
drain. It
odd
was just the
dead
one where all the
mouse.
muck would
That's
be.
about it. The odd dead mouse or whatever.
No, there was something in it, Tom, now, and we couldn't identify it, but it looked like some sort of plaster or some such. Like you'd swear, if you knew no better, you'd swear someone came in and poured like plaster of Paris down into the drain. Now, I could appreciate that being done on my house, but not theirs.
When was their house last touched with a bit of plaster?
Oh, not recently. So again, this is a puzzle. Where the hell this came from?
Sure, that could be down there this long. I've come across situations where people going, it's only just started overflowing, where people have gotten, like, they'd have a €2 coin's worth of a 4-inch pipe left because some bollocks washed his bucket of paint slash
Yeah,
skim down the thing, and before you know it, and they've only ever had a shite drain, but it's been full of old skim or something for 30 years.
that's very. At any rate, I went at it for about half an hour and I got it clear, and it was only then that I sort of asked myself now. Asked the lady's house. Now, you weren't trying to unclog this with drain unblocker at any stage, right? Oh, yeah, poured a couple of bottles of it into it. I was like, right, okay.
Jesus
I
Christ!
really
If
should
you
have
put
wore.
your okay, yeah, you should have worn a
I
glove.
really should have wore
Yeah,
gloves.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know that
So
that stuff willy through bone, like like
oh,
that's
I have
how.
a Freddy Krueger hand. Yeah, more so than usual.
Okay, all right. Well, that's where I would say, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. I was like, I was like Arnold in Terminator 2. I was just like holding up my arm and the whole skin came off on it. Just metal skeleton underneath it.
You're there at the kitchen table, and your in-law old pair are just like Miles Dyson and his missus. He's like, listen to me very carefully.
I'm not going to derail the show this early, Tom, but couldn't the Terminator have proved his point by cutting off the skin on one finger, not his arm from the fucking
The
elbow
whole
up?
glove didn't have to come off now, no affairs.
No.
But I think they blew the budget on that bit and went, this is the bit. This is the bit.
Well,
Cameron's a
there we
lunatic.
go. Well, Tom, speaking of blowing the budget, my man.
You are coming in loud and clear, Jar. I just have to tell you. But yeah, you're right talking about blowing the budget. Jesus, you're
Sorry,
so.
Ty,
I know you're
this bit
excited. You're excited, but jeez.
this bit of news now. This bit of news is well, let's get into it, folks. Okay, we can't just we got to introduce the segment first. As you know, we talk each week about the big news, and boy, is it big news this week, Tom.
Oh
It's
Lord.
it's a It's a doohickey, so let's get into what we call the weekly what have you.
This is a very complicated case, Maud. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, and a lot of strands to keep in my head, man.
My God Almighty, Jerry McBride. This one rightly rankled my feathers. We've had a few of them down the line and everybody has a whinge about their government and whatnot and how their ineptness and stuff. But this week we got another kind of RT flip flop story, but way more severe. And I don't think
Way more severe.
people are taking it seriously. Uh, which would be piece of construction was completed at our government head offices,
Our Houses of Parliament, if you
Houses
will.
of Parliament, if you will, Dáil Éireann. They built at Leinster House. It's on, is it Nassau? Is that Nassau Road
Yeah,
or yeah?
thereabouts. Get
Stunning
off the train
place.
at Pearson, you'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. Stunning place, and they put in a bike shelter.
Yes.
A bike shelter, Ger, for 18 bikes is all, because they obviously calculated and said, look, we've got a few hundred people working in here, but sure, look at, we are trying to promote green and everything. So let's go full 18 bikes in there.
Yeah.
18 bikes, the Jerry, and that's great. Fair play to them. They put
Yeah.
it in there, the whole lot. I mean, I'm guessing they had some sort of bike scenario there prior, you know.
You know, you couldn't just chain your bike to the railings at the front. I've tried. They'll come along and cut that off.
They will, they will, they will, they will. Now, this isn't for the public now. This is for them's and
Oh, ah.
those. Um, but
Our elected representatives, Tom.
our elected representatives, geez, they get a clipping every so often off us on a regular enough basis, don't they? And they
They're getting one this week, Tom.
rightly so, when you see the carry on of what went on, whoever signed off on it, because it was the bill that came through for an 18 bike shed. Hold on to your underpants, people. You might have seen some. I know we hear about, you know, the deep state in America getting rid of $7 trillion and stuff like that on black ops and everything else, and that's your own business. But I can tell you one thing:
That's your own business.
360 odd thousand and some
Yeah.
change. For
336 plus.
Was it
I don't
336?
doubt plus VAT on top of that, Tom. So yeah.
Ah, sure. Listen, this is all we got told you was
Yeah,
336.
exactly.
The shame of that, like, of
You know,
330, and it to come out so blasé, like 300. That's damn near. What's that? It's got to be like 17 grand a bike, is it?
I got to tell you one thing, Tom. All right. Now, when I heard they'd overspent on a bike shed, as I initially heard it, it was a bike shed, and I was
Yeah,
like, well, you know, you build a enclosed area like a garage or some such, you're going to run up a bill.
yeah,
No, Tom, this is like a bus shelter.
yeah,
This is like
yeah.
open on both sides of the bus shelter. You say it'll fit 18 bikes, but you know yourself, like, you know, you'll probably cram about 36 into it. You know, anyway, double up, you'll be all right.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's neither here nor there, Tom. It's got 18
Bike
loops.
bays, loops.
It's not, yeah. You keep every time you look at it, you think it's going to be something fancy. There's going to be something automated. There'll be some sort of underground sort of, you know, the sort of pop-up bike shelters that you
Yeah,
see there.
Japan.
Because Leinster House is, you know, I it's too little of a statement to say that it's a listed building. It's the listed building. You can't just nail shit on the outside of it.
True.
So I figured like, oh, it has to be something that you can't see the bikes outside. So it's going to be one of these, do you know that sort of thing for the bins that drops down underneath the thing?
Yes.
It's going
Yeah.
to be some Thunderbirds Tracy Island. Amazing. No,
Nope.
Tom, it's a
Nope.
bus shelter.
It's a bus shelter, the same one that you see at a school. The
Yeah.
very same one with curved perspex down the back, and you get in under it. I mean, first and foremost, what is the point in a bus shelter or a bike shelter? I get nearly a car shelter because you want to get in dry because you're going to sit in dry and drive dry. You sit in that bike pissing rain. Oh, great! I get to stand in here and get on dry, but you're
Yeah.
going to be soaked 3 yards
One,
beyond the
yeah.
fucking thing. So
Yeah.
I don't get the roof on it anyway. But they went, yeah, again, just like that. When I read it first, I went, yeah, but it's got to be class.
It's got to be fancy.
Got to be class. You know what I mean? Okay, and I'm not denying it. Hey, you're saying, oh, government ministers, you know, there was whinging that they shouldn't be in these fancy cars and stuff. I'm like, no, let them off. Show it off.
How many fancy cars did you buy for 336 grand? Here's the thing as well, Tom. How will I say this? Like I said now, again, foolish statement, Leinster House is a listed building, but it's an historical building. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
It's, you know, 100 some odd whatever years old. I did not Google this time. So initially I thought you're gonna rack up costs because you have to do archaeological assessments and some
Uh,
such. You know all about this, right?
yeah,
Because I figured that you don't want to sink a can go down into the skull of Brian Boru, or you don't want to dig down and hit Civil War munitions,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I appreciate that there's going to be a premium on archaeological uh
Fuckery.
scans and whatnot.
Yeah,
Now, again, we're going to be a while getting to 336,000 euro, Tom.
Jer, I'll tell you here now. For okay, so let's look at the basic makeup. Not gonna bang this drum all night, but let's get to the basic makeup of it. So
Yeah.
you've got your stainless steel loops
Yes.
sticks in the ground on one side, sticks in the ground the other side,
18
and
of them.
you chain your bike to it. That's it.
Right. That's
You
it.
could, you could probably double up. That's it. Now, you don't want to go into the cobbles. The oldie worldy cobbles. They had to obviously be, I'm guessing, removed. Personally, if you're fucking removing them, where are you putting it? Does everybody get a souvenir when they go home? I don't know. But the reality is you pour a slab of concrete straight over it. People go, oh, well, you can't just put. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because you ain't parking a rig up in it. It literally, the name is on the label. You're parking a bike, maximum 20 kilos a piece. Let's put Eamon Ryan up
A
in it.
push bike.
Let's put Eamon Ryan up in it as he backs it in. He's probably fighting weight, maybe 92 kilos, right? After, he's been treated over the summer to a few and
I
many,
don't know,
many.
Tom. I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna pause in your gallop on a completely random thing. I wouldn't fight Eamon Ryan. That's a big, long fella, and I'd say he's got
Oh,
that.
I'd blow the knee
You
out.
know
That's all you
that's
got there.
that
Blow the knee
skinny
out.
strength.
I tell you what he has, and it annoys me. I guarantee he has deep country strength in him.
Yeah, he's got
Because,
that. Yeah,
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 he's got
yeah. I
deep
don't know.
country
There's something
strength.
about him I wouldn't know, but that's
Plus,
neither here nor there.
plus he's a bit warped. So he'd go when the button goes. I'd say he's on, like, that
He
kind of
has a
way.
hidden
But
knife on him somewhere.
but
Yeah.
still, 92 kilos fighting weight is still a decent. So I mean, there's not much substructure required. That's
Right.
where the
Okay.
money goes missing, Jer. All the stuff that people don't see, right? That's where the money goes missing. Dare you to tell me that you had to go archaeological digging? You did in your hole, because you're not. I guarantee you, they're not affecting the subsoil unless they acted the bollocks completely, started drilling pins into the ground and stuff. You're not. There's no way. And do you think any other job that's been done there before on a bigger scale hasn't had to do that? Do you know what I mean? You, you're
That is the only place I'll give them grace. Like that. What was that car parking in England where they dug up King Richard?
let's get all right. Hey, Jer, I tell you what, let's do that. Right? Let's try and follow their bill of quantities. So even though the
Okay.
public are not, we're not au fait to it, we just apparently we're only able to deal with one number, and that's it. I'd like to see the bill of quantities. In fact, I'd like to see the bill of quantities for another giant elephant in the room, but we won't get into that because we'll turn it to Joe Duffy here. But it's around 2.2 billion over, and let's give him 50 grand. Let's give him 50,000, right? And I'm
Right.
telling you now, I've done archaeological standings with three watching them for a month on golf courses where they're stripping back bits of soil, and you're
Yeah, with
probably,
toothbrushes. Yeah.
I mean, even then, the height of the boom, and they were milking us because it was a golf course, it was a
Of
recreational thing.
course.
I think we ran up at about 38,000. Um,
Still
and
got to find 300 somewhere now on top of that, Tom.
you know what? I'm only giving them 50,000 on that.
Right.
Now, I haven't gotten in to inspect the shelter, so I can only speculate on what they made it out of. Let's try and make the
Let's make it right
360,000.
here and now.
Now, obviously, there's got to be architects brought in.
Right.
It's got to be applied for in planning. You can't just go ahead and build, even though that's where planning is invented, is around those places. But let's put in for planning. Let's say architect fees and planning fees. I mean, there ain't a lot of drawn to it, Jer, but there does seem to that an architectural company are going to need to oversee this big, big project. So let's give them 60,000. Let's give them sixty
Okay.
thousand, right?
Well, now you know me, Tom. I'm not against a man earning a living wage or a lady earning a living wage.
100%.
All right, but okay.
Sixty
Should have
thousand,
stuck
Jer.
with technical drawing if that's what they're getting, Tom. Anyway, go on.
Look, I'm trying to make sense of it all, Jer. I'm just trying to make
Oh,
sense of this crazy.
I'm boiling on the inside over here. I swear to God, I feel like I'm in a microwave.
Now, meetings will have had to be had at back and forth because construction can't just run from point A to point B because there will be changes. There'll be with inflation, of course, there's price influxes, so there would have to be meetings. Now the meetings don't happen for free either. They will be on
Right.
the consultancy side of things when it comes to the architects because they want to hold it. But there's members of the client, i.e., governmental client. They're going to have to sit down with whoever they got it, whether it was Bam or it was Sorensen or whoever these big crowd was that got it. Um, and each time there's going to have to be somebody take notes during that as well, and it's going to have to be recorded. It's going to have to be typed up, filed, the whole lot. For sundries, we'll call them, Ger. Let's go 10%. That's 36,000, right? Sundries in that scenario, let's go 36,000 or 33,000. I'm not a maniac.
Should I be adding this up, Tom?
We're up to about 110 plus 36, 33. So we're up to what? What's that? 143.
143, 145 for easy sums.
Now, now
Maybe
we
we'll make 336 out of this yet, Tom. Maybe this will turn out to be good value.
hold on. We haven't even talked to the builders yet. Haven't even had the builders. Now, Now, okay, so concrete is going to have to be brought in, right? Now,
Right.
it can't just be any old stuff. Like you can't just roll in there with your standard mix. Like this is probably going to have to be heavy duty because you never know what type of stumpies happens around
Fair
these
enough.
things. Let's go for 20 Newton concrete. Now that'll have to be tested. Every meter of that will have to be tested in a cube test slash slump test. Will have to be tested on site and then taken away to a concrete testing facility down at DCU.
Okay.
Okay, so that aside, we'll factor that in with with just the concrete costs alone and its testing and everything else, and closing the road, Jer, because you're bringing a big old truck down that road, and the guards are going to have to because you're going to have two guards. Two guards, if you're hiring them for out of state things, is 500 quid an hour, right? So they're going to knock 2 days out of that, right? We had to have them try escort us bringing explosives from Edenderry to Longford, and it was 500 quid an hour to
Whole
you
other
know
story, Tom.
oh, it was somewhat above board. So we're up there now with these are again all sundries that you don't take into account, and you're probably so let's say there's just a guarded traffic stop because there's going to have to be a safety statement written for all of this too. So you're going to have to bring in a safety company, right? Let's give them 25,000, right? Because and that's taking into guard and the stopping of the road, the blocking of the road, and everything
Right,
else.
okay.
So we're up to what 143 plus
170.
20, 170, right? And some change. Now let's talk about just materials alone. So the concrete's going to have to be serious. The testing on the concrete is going to have to be serious stuff. I'm going to go in for about 15,000 on that, Jar. About
Oh,
15,000 just on that alone. Now that's just the purchase of it. We haven't brought in the shuttering company yet to actually shutter up that 4 inches of concrete that you need off the ground. It isn't everywhere you'd find 100 millimeters of shuttering. Shuttering company needs to produce their safety statement too. They're going to have to go to tender over this. And like that, there'll be going to be a lot of to and fro and weighing, reading through it and everything else. I would imagine just the slab alone, materials, the building of it, everything else, another 28,000, I would say. And that's just me speculating. Like I'm just being careful there now. That's
you froze
28,000.
me there a wee bit, Tom. Did you say 25?
I said 28,000, Ger.
No,
28,000.
28. Okay, well, that'll bring us up to about 200 even so
About
far, give or
200
take.
even. Now also all these things are going to have to be sourced. Now you can't just put in any stainless steel off. Where are you going
Oh,
to buy
God,
a
no.
stainless steel loop? Where are you going to buy that? Where are you going to buy that, Ger? You're going to get that super value. Huh? You're going to go down to
No,
Chadwick's and get that? No.
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 Actually, in this instance, I know a couple of boys, yeah,
Listen, it's
do
not every
stainless steel welding up in Carrick Cross.
but there you go. But they would have been out put out to tender, Ger. It would have been put out to tender. Now tender may or may not, and I would be suspicious in this case if it fell to an Irish company. Most likely they went for Italian. Italians have a long history of building really good, and that's what you want. You can't just take the cheapest offer. Some fella from Carrick Cross puts in for 18, and he goes, "I'll do it for 2,200." Not at all. Not at
God,
all.
no. Heaven forbid, Tom.
You really want this to be done right. You want all those loops to match perfectly all the way along because we've nothing worse than people taking photographs, buy them and stuff like that, and they're out of sync and stuff. And you've got 18 of them to be made in Italy, right? Shipped over, fitted, and fitted by the Italian fitters as well, who, by the way, have to get a 200-day per diem. while they're here, and the cigarette allowance. That's 100% true when it comes to Italian fitters. I'm going to say loops included, bringing the Italians over, putting it out to tender, the whole lot. I'm going to say they're probably about 70,000. Yeah, yeah, I know it. But that's including VAT, Ger.
Keep
Like
going, Tom.
it's all claiming, you can all claim this back, right? Don't be fucking too frightened by the VAT numbers and stuff like that. Um, Now what are we left with? We've got our loops. But
We're at 270.
yeah, we're at 270, but we need to
Some
stand
fucking how.
we need to stand frames, right? We need to stand the frame off it to take the roof because we don't want their little heads getting wet before they sit on their bikey wikies. So, um, we need a frame to be built up. Sounds simple, right? Sounds simple, but now you need to bring in an engineering company, right? An engineering company to properly design this because you need to understand the moments of the fulcrum that you're talking about because there's going to be an overhang on this chair. You need to
Right.
have all these calculations done correctly, and those don't come cheap. You'll probably have to go to Sisk or somebody like that, and they'll probably want close to about 25,000 to design, build, probably in the UK and bring it in. 25,000 easily on the framing of it. And now we're left with the I think it's perspex. I don't think it's glass. I don't think it's I when I looked at it a few times from a different angles, I think it's perspex. Glass
They
would have
said glass.
Is it glass? Well, if it's glass, it's glass. It's tough and glass, Ger. It's tough and glass. You're talking probably at least 20 meters of it. Curved,
Right.
toughened glass. I mean, Jesus Christ, the fact that we got this in under 36,000 Ger is blowing my fucking mind right now. It's blowing my mind. Well done, I say. Well done, because if you can get that curved glass, there's an 18-week lead in alone on that stuff. And they're probably going to have to bring it in from Sweden. Because, yes, we can do it here in Ireland. Of course we can. But you need to show diplomacy so that when the Swedish ambassador comes over, you go, thank you so much. We purchased this from you. What would you like to buy off us? Fuck all, thanks. Because we do curved glass better. I'm going to say that the curved glass, 20 meters of it, amazing. I say they got a deal. They got a deal on 36,000. Easy.
Yeah.
And throughout all of that, there's somebody, this is me I'm only speculating. Who am I? I'm Joe Soap. Like, maybe, I don't think anybody made any profit off the back end of this, to be honest, Cher. I think
No.
this
This was a pro bono case.
yeah. I think this was let's just get it done for the guys. Get it done for the guys. Get it over the line. And
One for the team.
fair fucking play. I mean, there's the other speculation too, Ger. There's the other speculation, and it's an old
Which
one.
is?
It's done the rounds on lots of jobs back in the day. It's an old site adage, and then the story being that it's put out to tender. A Kildare man puts in a price of 100,000. Dublin man puts in a price of 200,000. A Kerry man puts in a price of 330,000, and the minister says to the Kerry man, "Are you fucking mad? 330,000? Yeah, I tell you what." You take 115. I take 115. We pay that stupid Kildare fucker to build it for 100. It's the old adage, and it probably happened,
Well, Tom,
unfortunately.
I never really looked at the price of it, and as you break it down to me there, it is actually stunning that they managed to keep it to 336,000 euros for a bike shelter. It's even more stunning given that it has emerged today. I don't know if you caught it, that the same OPW put up the exact same bike shelter in Farmley House in Phoenix Park for 28 grand 10 months ago.
Oh my! Are you?
Yeah. Something tells me this is the weekly what have you that's going to keep on giving, ladies and gentlemen.
Jesus Christ! And that's just laughed away. Nobody's allowed to see the bill of quantities. Like, where did it go? Like, and you
No.
can't say inflation. 10 months. If anything, things have leveled back down a small bit because everybody went mad. All the builders merchants went a bit mad, But yeah.
Any rate, there you go. Let's get the blood pressure a little bit down there, Tom. Jesus,
do.
Mother Mary. Yeah,
Let's
okay.
do something. Let's do something comfort foodie. Let's
do something
nice.
comfort food here, folks. As you all know, now our next segment is when we talk about not that guy or the other guy or the other guy over here, and definitely not them creative consultants in the OPW that managed to get a bike shelter for 335 grand of our money. We're not going to talk about those lads now. You know what time it is, Tom. It's time to talk about this lad.
Now there's that guy.
God, I didn't realize the date in question because my
No, neither did I.
my
And in actual
TikTok,
fact, we could have done this last week either. It sort of straddles days and dates.
I
But
got
who is to
excited.
know?
I get excited every time, and it's been months. Every time this man shows up on my TikTok or Instagram feed, I get very excited because I'm like, oh, this is why I like this app. I don't like all the
Yes.
rest of it is rubbish, rubbish. But when he shows up in his old 90 Defender pickup, toddling down Dibna and Sons, some street in Bolton. Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, this week's This Lad is an old friend of the podcast, Fred Dibna. It is 45 years to the week since his BBC documentary, Fred Dibna Steeplejack, aired for the first time in 1979. And as long-term listeners of the Tom and Jerry show will know, myself and Tom have a fondness for this Bolton Steeplejack, Mr. Fred Dibna. Um,
God.
Solely from this documentary, Steeplejack, which we didn't see in 1979, we weren't born, but it launched a long, long career for Fred Dibna as a TV personality because of his choice of work, which was Steeplejack and Tom, which is we're going to give you a little Cliff's notes of it today. What do you think about that, buddy?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, it can like I often still, it's still to this, every so often Fred will just pop into my head and I go, I wonder, Fred had no idea what was coming down the track. Like, one
No,
minute he's just a hard-working northern lad, used to work down the mines with me father. Back in the day, we worked 14 hours a day and walk home, and and it was just a normal dude
just
doing,
a working dude.
but had such an affable personality and did one of the most ridiculously amazing jobs that he literally went viral for like 20 years.
He was the original viral, and like as Tom just said there, it was through sheer force of personality
Yeah.
that he won long-standing admiration from the community. And I think that's where I personally am falling down, Tom. I think it's the personality that's getting me. If everything else, it's just a bit dislikable bastard.
So good.
No. So listen, if you folks want to know the full story of Fred Dibna, I dare say there's a couple of 2 hour deep dive specials that may be somewhere buried deep in the archives of the Tom and Jerry show. We're not going to get into that now because we don't have another 2 hours to spare. But what we are going to tell you about is how Fred Dibna himself, this little chap with a woodbine hanging out the corner of his mouth,
A pint of
would
ale and
knock
another.
down would knock down uh, a tower chimney, the big old pigeon fort looking chimneys made of red brick dating all the way back to the 1800s. Fred Dibna, his job was to tend to them, to keep them right, and when the time came, Tom, to knock them down. And it's very important to say that, Tom, knock them down, not
No,
blow them up.
nope, not a dynamite man. He, yeah, that was the thing because he known as a steeplejack because it derives from actually going up steeples of church, but that's not where the book ends. He's loads of the Industrial Revolution of the 1700s, 1800s, and all the rest of which Fred loved, and Bolton, the north of England, being a hub of
In
this
the
kind of
thick of
stuff.
it, yeah.
Oh my God, some of the museums they have up there are just stunning. But Fred, he would have grown up actually minding those chimneys because the chimneys, of course, would wear and tear. And there was no drones to go up and have a look-see. There was no choppering it in. There was no health and safety. He would just lash himself around that thing and just start driving dog bolts into it to
Yeah.
make basically hooks to hold his ladder on. But you gotta go up the thing first. And he would just, one by one, this portly little bloke. I mean, he was never shredded, but you know full well he would choke your head clean off your
Oh, he's
body
got like
with
the
the
opposite
power.
of the he's got the opposite of Eamon Ryan muscle. He's got
Yeah.
like little fat dude muscle. You know what I'll tell you. Anyone between Fred Dibnah and Eamon Ryan, I reckon I'd be fair enough in a scrap against them. If you're on either end of the spectrum, there, like little small steeplejack dude, or 6'6" of 92 kilos of cut muscle like
Yeah.
Eamon
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm not touching either of them dudes.
But he'd go up basically, and the idea was that he would tend to him, keep him tidy. But when it was time to come down, because new versions of revolutions, there was one way to do it. And I'm not accepting other ways, there. I'm saying there's one way to do it. There's one way to do it, almost humanely, because he loved those chimneys so much. He just loved the idea of the man hours that went into it. So he nearly took it down with is it deference is the word I'm looking for? What is the word
He's
I'm looking? There was sympathy.
he's out here hunting lions with a ceremonial knife, Tom, is what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He just took him down with
Anybody can shoot
sympathy.
a lion, man. He's out there with like a ceremonial dagger,
Yeah, yeah, down ass naked, like as
butt
naked
ass
as
naked,
naked. Yeah,
crawling round.
and basically he would drop these chimneys with the most unbelievable skill. Like between houses, and people would like, and the way he would do it was
This was the spectator sport of the early 80s. Now, when we say a tower, Tom, and I mentioned there the pigeon forts, the pool beg towers in Dublin, like they're steel towers. Okay, so that's not what he was dealing with, and they're not like nuclear reactor towers, which are basically mass concrete
yeah.
poured. When we're talking about a tower for a chimney, a tower chimney for a factory, we're talking about a red brick tower made with the same red brick that the outside of your house could very well be made with at home.
Stunning pieces of
Beautiful
engineering because they're
architecture.
smooth. Like it's a smooth angle, coned angle the whole way up along. The men that built them were absolute incredible people. But he would take it, and he had two ways of doing it. If it just wasn't possible to drop it where kick it over like a Pringle can, he would actually literally have to scaffold up around the top of it and
Yeah.
knock it down brick by brick inside on itself. But the more spectacular one was the one everybody remembered.
That's what we're going to go into here right now. So he hated the dynamite men who would just come up and rig dynamite to a chimney and boom and blast it and it would fall down. I got to be honest with you, Tom.
We like dynamite,
Seemed to
Jared.
get the job done.
We like dynamite, but the only thing is you have to look at it from Fred's point of view. Fred loved the craftsmanship that went into building that, so he nearly had it was more of a respect thing. Is like, plus, as he said himself, a lot of the bricks, like 95% of the bricks, were reusable immediately
Were
after that.
reusable,
So
yes,
he
indeed.
was environmentally friendly for his time. Now,
He was a nose to tail steeplejack, yes.
he did
So,
burn
folks, here's
tires
how you
to.
nose to tail. Here's how you knock down a chimney, Fred Dibnah style. We're gonna need the following items, Tom. Okay.
Yeah.
We are gonna need a hammer and chisel of sorts, a bolster and a hammer, lump hammer. Okay. We're gonna need a telegraph pole, a standard telegraph pole, cut up into 6 to 8 equal pieces of around about 24 inches a piece. So can you picture that in your head?
I got it.
All right. You're gonna need a whole pile of rubbish. A couple of
Mostly
tires is no harm.
tires. Yeah, tires work. Yeah, yeah.
You're going to need some rolled up newspaper and you're going to need a match. Okay, you ready to take this down?
Yep. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so step one is you walk up to the 200-foot tall brick tower with no safety gear on whatsoever.
None.
None.
Fag out the side of the mouth, ready to
I
go.
get the side of the mat. Steel toe cap boots just because that's the only ones that come. And you take your hammer or chisel and you knock a hole in the side of it. You with me so far?
Down at ground level. Yes.
Down at ground level, okay? And you knock a hole out of it, roughly speaking, 2 foot tall, and into this hole, which is 2 foot tall and about 8 inches wide. And you picture that sort of little window that you've just made in the bottom of the tower.
I can.
Okay, you knock into that one of your telephone pole segments, right?
Yep.
So and it fits in perfectly in there like Lego, okay?
Nice and snug. Yeah.
Now you continue to the left of this, or right, whichever direction you want this thing to fall, and you knock out like another segment of it. So you're making the window bigger and bigger. You with me?
Yeah.
And every time you knock out the window big enough, you put in another segment of telegraph pole. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Tom, if this sounds to you like you're cutting, if you're cutting like a joke or smile into the bottom of the tower, or if you're cutting like a smiley face into the bottom of the tower and making telegraph pole teeth.
Yes. Nice.
That's pretty much what you're doing, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have this 200-foot tall tower, which used to be supported on brick on all sides. Now it's supported on one side with telegraph poles that you've sawed up by hand. You with me so far, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there was no structural integrity needed when it came to get to his telegraph poles, no testing, no nothing. He just trusted the ESB men or whoever they were, BT electricity at the time, to give him. He wasn't putting a new one in there, like.
No,
it was
these are. And like a telegraph pole that's been treated in that bitumen, like that's as hard as iron, I will say.
Oh, listen, it's well, you say that, but I have a very interesting one for you quickly. As you were coming up, I had to have two replaced on the site. Well, I don't know if I have to have them, but I was told they had to be changed because the Irish woodpecker has made a resurgence right around South Tipperary, and this woodpecker, put four, I mean, perfectly above each other, 4 1/2 holes through. I mean, they reckon he went in a good 3 inches into it.
Really?
1/2 inch, maybe 2 inch space in between him, and he smashed. Like, how hard are his lips? Like, he
Mm.
smashed his face into those. Those telegraph poles, as you said, they're soaked, they're treated
They are
in
soaked.
everything that known to man, from creosote to bitumen to. They're like iron for a finish. And this guy smashed his face into it. Thankfully, he didn't. He wasn't with any of the ones that Fred dealt with.
No, no, no. Uh More on that in a second now, the bitumens and the whatnots that these telegraph poles are carrying, because you don't want to get a splinter from that, Tom. Like, that'll really infect you.
I don't think Fred. I think he
Don't think
kind
it
of
was
had
high
a
on his
new.
agenda.
I think he was okay.
So what we so what we have here now is our 200-foot brick tower with the sort of Joker mouth cut in it and telegraph poles, chopped up telegraph poles put across it. Okay?
Yeah, taking all the weight.
Taking all the weight, yes. What previously was resting on brick is now resting on timber. Are you with me?
Yeah, yeah, of
So all you have to do now to knock that chimney down is to remove those telegraph poles, right, Tom?
course.
And
You
what
talk.
is the handiest way to do it?
Well, Ger, you take all. You go back to your list of items that you needed, and I mean, you could, do Yosemite Sam on it and just tie a rope around it and run really far away and try and
And
yank it
yeehaw
down.
that thing out.
But instead, he stuffs it with tires, rubbish, mattresses, anything that's knocking
And
around the local northern town that he's
if it
in.
burns,
Shove it in there. Also, those poles are fantastic for burning. Once they start, they will not stop, given the
no.
stuff that's in them. Um, Packs it to the hilt with all these things. And also, you never mentioned on your list to have a good man with you.
Oh
Um,
yes, we got to mention Donald Payton there. Yes, old Donald
Donald,
was
his man.
Fred's right hand man, the
Yeah.
Robin to his Batman, shall we say?
Now it was a ceremonial bit. This is when everybody from the locale came out, because
Everybody,
and it was a ceremonial bit. Again, Siggy in mouth, he'd bring the wife over to light it. I mean,
whoever she
that's.
was at that given time, because he got through a few of them now.
But that
We
was
don't have time to get
nice.
into that story, but Fred was a hard man to live with.
That was nice. I like that. No, that was a nice little touch. And he would let her take the touch paper, we'll call it. Most likely, the Bolton Herald,
Yeah,
full
rag
of
on a stick.
rag on a stick, stick it in there, set fire to it. And by no real hurry on anybody to run away at this point,
No, no,
because,
no, no.
as
It
Fred
was
said,
slow.
it's got to burn for a couple hours, really, for those timbers to really fracture. But he knew when a couple of creaks, and he'd walk around the back and he'd see a crack in mortar, and it'd open up, and he knew right around the right time that when it opened to a certain amount, i.e., he could probably get his fat little thumb into
Yeah,
into the crack on the other side of it. Then he'd have. Now, in fairness, he wasn't without any safety, Jar. He had a hooter.
he had a hooter, to be fair.
He had a hooter, and everybody knew Fred's hooter. Just leg it in either direction. Don't run.
Yeah,
Don't run north. Run east or west of this thing's falling path.
when you hear this little, huh?
And that's exactly what it sounded like, people. That's our new cat. That's our new. We should get a roadcaster and actually save that in it. Um, yeah, and that's it. Everybody would run east and west, stand back. Well, I say run. They just toddle, chips in
Oh, they take
hand.
2 steps backwards. Yeah.
Chips in hand. People from the pubs are out. Oh, time to come out. Watch it. Another Fred Dimna classic, and here she goes. And
And here she goes. The fire would eventually burn through the telegraph pole, so they could not support the weight of the tower. And what is the tower to do when it's had a big ass hole cut in the side of it, Tom? Down she'd come.
down she'd go, and it would just break up lovely mortar and bricks for everyone afterwards.
Yes.
I no doubt there was more patios, small sheds built around these small towns made up, and they were all period correct. I can guarantee you.
Yes. Guarantee you.
Because the millions of bricks that were there, they disappeared soon enough
Yeah, I
after all
mean,
that.
don't, yeah. Nobody had a lorry or truck with them at all. Uh, Tom, we'll leave one thing. We urge everybody to seek out as much Fred Dibnah information as they can. We'll post a few of his greatest hits on the socials. But bear in mind, Tom, if you were like Fred and you weren't quick enough to get away from the tower, or you were up the top of the tower doing some steeplejacking and you slipped off, which Fred never did, lived a perfectly happy life and died of a long illness. Um, but if you weren't that lucky, Tom, and you were to fall off the top of a chimney, what would you get?
No, after out with Undertaker, you know. Also, a tagline that I still love from him is when he just raises his finger after dropping one of these chimneys, and he's just like covered in black soot, and he's got a half bitten hand, and a spag in the other hand. He just, did you like that? I just fucking love. I love how he just, as if he just did a magic trick. Did you like that? Oh, knowing full well this man was
Knowing
an
full well.
entertainer. He would have been an entertainer no matter what his chosen profession was. But Fred Dibnah. And here's a sup of tropical blast to you, sir.
Yeah. Raise a sip for Fred Dimler. This week's This Lad, Tom, a subject that you and I are not going to fight on is Fred Dimler.
Never, ever, ever.
Never.
I got you that picture on the wall for our
Yes,
mutual
indeed, right
love.
behind us there. I must actually, I must post up a shot of that on the Instagram.
Our
We
mutual
would never
love for
fight
Fred.
about Fred Dibnah, but what I'm suggesting to you now, Tom, is maybe there's something that we could fight about.
My attitude is, don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is something we need to row about. I've had it up to here. I'm going to be doing northern stuff for the rest of the
Yeah,
day.
once Tom goes into Fred Dibnah, it's hard to get him out of it.
It's I go full. It's much like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropical. I'm drinking Tropical Blast from Tropical. You never go.
Where we go one, we go all.
But yeah, no,
Which is, I gotta tell you, where we go one, we go all is a wonderful phrase. Like, it's a really great phrase for a soccer team or a football team or a hurling team. It just, what do you know? Right-wing MAGA dudes in America have adopted it for themselves. The QAnon crowd have adopted it for themselves. It's like, oh god damn.
Sure, let him. Look,
that would have been great for a lawn bowls team where we go one, we go all, regardless.
It's true. No,
Gotta give them something. What are we fighting about, Tom?
Chiropractory, if that is the title of it. Because my timeline, again, in the last few months, I'm guessing they're figuring I'm doing a lot of manual labor. I have a lot of creaky bits and achy bits and whatnot that are going, aha, we'll throw all this madness at you. Now, look.
Well, Tom, TikTok is serving you the way, in Dope Sick, they served Oxycontin to the mining communities in Pennsylvania. It's just like, they're probably all got sore backs. Let's just flood these experimental pills into the community. And they know you're building a house. So they're like, okay, get him some chiropractic. We don't even know how to say that thing. Chiropractor-based content. How about that?
Yeah. That's what we're getting. Now,
Tom, what's your beef, man? Why are you giving out about chiropractors? I mean, they seem like good crack.
They do. Wait.
Jokes.
It's this shit that is going on nowadays, and they're getting celebrities. And look, I don't mind a bit of manipulation of the muscle in the way of physio. I've had to have, and they call it a slip disc. It's not a slip disc. It's a bulge in fluid out the side of it. I've had
Jelly came out your donut, Tom.
Jelly came out with donut. We talked about this before. How
Yep.
I've been once or twice. The guy got me back walking, but he went, "I didn't mend you, by the way. I've just pushed the painy stuff away from the sorry pipe." Okay, this is the way he described it to me. The sorry pipe is your spinal cord. I've gotten that off that for a minute. I haven't fixed. Nothing's cracking back into place. Okay.
Okay.
The only time that happens is when you dislocate an actual joint, i.e., a shoulder or hip. Rank. Finger, wrist, rank. You know what I mean? That's the only time cracking should be happening.
Okay. So what you're suggesting is that what we see now as chiropractors practicing chiropractic online is manipulated to make it look super cool, but in actual fact they're not really doing it. Because I've seen a couple of these videos, Tom, and generally it's like Lethal Weapon chiropractors.
Yeah.
It's like a real quick sort of
smashes his shoulder. Yeah.
And it goes, and they're like, oh wow, instant relief. Just sort of like, oh great, love it.
Look, I'm no doctor, But no doubt there's the odd person who has like frozen, trapped nerve, and it can be manipulated out and worked, and nerves work in odd ways. And it's mostly nerve damage and inflammation of these things. And people are hunched over, they're busted and everything else. And a lot of the time, it can be manipulated over time in treatment. But when they get some poor bastard who's coming in sideways like Krabby, from the chum bucket or whatever the name of the thing, he's coming in sideways like something out of SpongeBob. And your man's like, oh, lie up, lie up there. And he's like, yeah, I see it now. I see it now. Okay, you see it. Fair enough, you see it. But now start to help the man. Oh, now I'm going to take out fucking a roofer's lead hammer, and I'm going to put this fucking bolster against your fucking shoulder blade. Just take a deep breath, and bang. And somebody behind the camera has like a roll of bubble wrap. And this
Yeah,
poor
they've got like
bastard,
raw spaghetti just.
this poor bastard literally squits his underpants and goes, "Wow, Jesus Christ!" And of course, your man is going, "You probably feel amazing now, do you?" I do, yeah. Lovely, class.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, 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 no. Sure, we can't do one side without doing the other. Lie down there. I'll get the big bolster on this one, and I need a 17-pound sledge to bust your back with. Who's swinging hammers at people? And there's a what? Who's swinging hammers into people's bones and joints? If your bone is sitting up, I'm sorry, but that's not your bone's fault. Either you have a fucked up bone,
Right.
and you ain't getting that hammered back down into space. This isn't like a wishbone on a car. Like you can't just heat it with a bit of with oxyacetylene and just hope that it shapes down. You
And just tapped.
just tap it down.
But
Jesus.
Tom, I'm not arguing with you, but you got to come at it from my point of view, okay? It looks fucking amazing, all
Oh,
right? I have
don't
said
get
it
me
to you
wrong.
several times, buddy.
Yeah, don't get me
Like,
wrong.
I've said
Everything
so
about
many
it.
times that when I want a massage, if I want a massage, I've had two massages in my life, right?
Yeah,
But if I wanted a massage, I don't want like, to be calmly pushed back into place. I want something that's tantamount to assault. I told you this before, Tom. I want to be thrown down a set of stairs in a very specific manner.
I hear you. But there is go to your physio for that kind of carry on. They
But
will.
here, Tom,
They'll
I've
make you
gone to
cry.
I've gone to a
They'll make you.
physio.
Come on.
I've gone to a physio for a sore shoulder, and do you know what he gave me, Tom? Do you know what he gave me?
Go on, what did he give you?
Tell you what he gave me. Number one, he gave me a bill for several €100s. But on top of all that, you know what else he gave me? He gave me exercises to do.
Yeah.
Shoulder raises and things that I could have done anywhere. And I'm like, no, no, no. I need you to Mr. Miyagi this shit. I need you
Yeah.
to blow in the warm up your hands, pull me tool, and
They were going so well, but both of us going, there's going to be wanking involved here. I'm sorry. There's going to be
no, do the Mr. Miyagi, warm up your hands and go like, Arr! And then I'm
Tony
right
the
as
Tiger.
ninepence and I walk out of here, grand, one session, 80 quid, we're done. I don't want to be coming back here for 6 weeks' time, slowly building it up through a range of weight-based exercises in the gym.
No, I get you on that one. But like obviously it depends on the injury, like you know what I mean. But there's nobody out there is like they put a tea towel around a woman's neck and damn near killed her. Like
I have
yeah.
seen this.
Jesus
I have
Christ,
seen
you put a tea towel. She's like, yeah, I have a bit of tension. Jesus Christ, girl, go out to fucking Killaloo for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, here, I lie down here. You wrap a tea towel around my neck. Now, I know people get hunched neck from sitting at but like, you ain't gonna you're not hammering steel. Like this isn't it. It happened over time. You'll only correct it over time. Like your man is there, wraps a tea towel around this woman's neck. Of course, something pops because there's air somewhere in the joint. Like there's,
Yeah.
there's a pop somewhere. And that woman, like 1 more millimeter, she's dead. She's dead. And your man's
Well,
put on the end of the bench going, yeah, I'd say you feel class, do you?
it sounds to me, Tom, that your main problem with all this is that it doesn't work.
Yeah, not a fit.
And that it's snake oil
It's
and
100%
showmanship. It's P.T. Barnum. It just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
But I gotta tell you, Tom, like I will say it makes great content. You know what it reminds me of?
That's what vexes me is that I actually love watching it. That's
I
why
do,
I'm
yeah.
vexed.
And
I wouldn't pass judgment on it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you'll never hear me giving out about the Kardashians here because I haven't seen 3 seconds of them. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I wouldn't go, oh, it's great. I feel duped because I'm watching it going, I'm enjoying this. But at the same time, it's a load of our shite. There's nobody doing that. There's nobody's fixing anybody with a fucking hammer and bolster, Ger. There's
It
nobody.
reminds me, Tom, and I haven't gone so far down into the chiropractic. Well, let us know in the comments if we're saying that right, by the way. I have seen a
Chiropractor.
couple of videos, but I do know one thing that got me pretty good there for a long time, for a couple of years, was pimple popping
Ah, Jesus Christ.
videos
I
online. And
knew
it's
you
the
were going to
same
say
sort of
it.
crack, right?
I knew you. I absolutely
Right?
understand it. And my
Because it's
wife,
like
oh,
someone goes in and they've got like a cyst or what have you, and it's like we sort that out. And in my brain, I'm just watching that, and all I'm thinking of is like, imagine, because I know what it is to have like a pimple
yeah, yeah,
from back
yeah.
in the day, like you had a big fucking what
Sore
have you,
one, like, yeah, yeah.
and when it goes, it's like, oh yeah, the fucking relief of that's lovely. So I'm like, I see the people and they're like, here's your pimple popped, and I'm like, God, the relief that must be is just unbelievable. And that lady got a TV show out of it. That doctor got a TV show
Yeah,
out of it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I watched it for years, Tom. So now I'm looking at this going, yeah, I know what it is to have a sore back from being hunched over at a computer. I'm hunched over right now. I could
Yeah.
correct my posture, but
I'll just go to the man with the
not
hammer.
gonna.
With
Yeah,
a
go into
foot
this lad, and
two
he,
and a
yeah,
fucking lump hammer. He's going to straighten me out. I'll walk out of here because that's how you fix all bones, isn't it?
that's
Gee,
it. I mean, like if you're telling me that I can just walk into this guy and he's gonna give me like an angle slam and I'm gonna be grand.
he's going to F5 you through the fucking
He's gonna
plasterboard.
F5 me and I'm just gonna be cheers, dog. Walk
Oh,
off.
Jesus Christ, Doc. Why didn't I come here sooner? There's £1,000. I feel $1,000,000 with fucking nails sticking out of my head. Yeah,
We
it's
gotta, we gotta, we gotta throw this to the fine listeners of the
yes,
Tom
yeah,
and
yeah.
Jerry show, because I've never gone for this, Tom. You've gone for a version of this. We want to know their take on chiropractic, chiropractory. Let us
Let's
know in
say,
the comments, folks.
yeah,
And I'll tell
tell
you
it.
where you can let us know in the comments. You can let us know in the comments at Tom and Jerry Show. Tom and Jerry, Jerry with a G, and like an and, not an ampersand, don't you know? A-N-D.
Yeah, even though
Tom and Jerry.
our
Yeah,
logo has an ampersand, but
you get us there.
it is
Yeah,
in.
it's confusing. I know. It's
It's
all that. But like I say, get us on Instagram or get us on Twitter, or you'll get me at Jerry McBride. You get him, Tom _ O'Mahony. Will get us pretty much anywhere. If you just put in Tom and Jerry, look for an icon that looks like you think we sound like.
And that's exactly it. In all fairness, I have been mistook a few times for being on other podcasts. And they're like, Jesus, I didn't realize he looked normal because I sound mental, it would seem.
It must be said.
But to be fair, Rob Steers, our friend who's an artist, he kind of nailed us on that on the logo. In all fairness, we
He did.
both look mental.
I went and grew long hair despite him, but yeah, other than that, we're fairly spot on.
Do subscribe on whatever platform you're on. If it's your first time listening because you just trailed in over here because you love bike sheds, do hit subscribe, hit the bell. I think there's a bell on most of them now, mostly Spotify. Fair play to you, Jared. We are at a rock star and 5 stars.
Love it.
Everybody,
Bang.
somebody cleaned house. We were at a 4.9. Some absolute
Nothing but
fly beyond me.
net.
But
I love it.
their beautiful listeners have brought us back up to 5 stars.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so they do please, because it's of no use other
Have a
than
bike shed on us.
it shows people visibility, I suppose, of our podcast and all the rest of it. And that's about it. Let us know. Do please follow, like Jerry said, especially on Twitter and Instagram, which is really the only places. But follow the Tom and Jerry show, because is brilliant at putting up stuff, and we need to know the vibe of what we're talking about, especially if it's from bike shedding. If you disagree and you think that's scandalous, which, let's be honest, I had
Yeah,
tongue-
what are you, communist?
I
Bike
had-
sheds cost money,
I had
commie.
we had our tongues pressed well into the side of our mouth. We're Bulgarian, of course. Do you think you could get more out of a bike shed? I think more. Could we knock 500,000 bike shed?
Tom, they can't even smoke outside this fucking thing. They can't even
Jesus
shift around the
Christ.
back of
You
it.
can't do anything. You can't smoke. You can't shift. Nothing.
Jesus Christ.
Go. If you're new to Fred Dimna, go listen to the 2 episodes from way
I'm gonna
back.
throw up some clips. I'm gonna
Jerry's
do
going
right
to
by
put up
that.
some clips because we absolutely love that man. And for finally, chiropractic. Are we saying it right for one?
Yeah.
Because that'll tell you everything, Jared. The very fact
I'll
that
tell you the
people
research we do for these things.
fully don't know. Listen, I voiced my Jerry this morning at about 5:30 because it was in my head and I needed to get it out. Tell us what you think. Is it a load of shit? Have you been to get a Kango up the arse, whatever for whatever reason that you had a pain somewhere. And did it sort you? Or are you going, you rotten bastard, you emptied me pockets and now I'm sore than when I was before I went in there? Let us know. Anyway, Ger, I'm going to just go lie over the washing line and just be beaten with a hurley to get all the dust out of me while drinking some Tropical Blast Zero Sugar.
Maybe that might get a kink or two out of you as well, Tom. Literally.
Good luck.
That's it. Good luck.